The case for a stock market rally. Is the correction over? Is there evidence of rotation? And a crypto market update. And we will also do a stock market studies review. Hi, I'm Bruce Frazier, your host. Welcome to Powercharting. Welcome to all my Wyckoff friends. And welcome to friends of Wyckoffians. This methodology is contagious, so be forewarned, you're going to want to do this and do it all the time. So here we go. We have so much to do today. Too ambitious of an agenda, but here we go. First of all, we had a fantastic fall conference, virtual, September 18th. It's all been recorded. It is now available for dues paying members of the TSAA SF. Become a member. There's going to be content, great content throughout the whole year. Great things are being planned for the rest of 2021. At your leisure, come listen to these speakers on the recordings. They did a fantastic job. So be part of our TSAA family. Today's agenda. We'll start with a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, kind of interesting. Then we're going to do a Bitcoin update, stock index updates with the stock market studies that we review from time to time. Clues about emerging rotational themes. That's very important because we want to be in the right places in the market. So here is the long-term monthly bar chart of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Beautiful upward stride since 2011. Look at these beautiful trend lines. Each is independent of the other, but they're parallel. So that's very interesting. There's been a throw over, and you'll notice here that there's been an attempt to come back into the channel. Let's see if I can blow this up. Come on, hold on. And you can see here there was an attempt in the last week during the month to come back into the channel. It has rallied back up out of the channel. This could be a sign, if it can stay here, then maybe it rides along this level as it did back here, or possibly it can accelerate. I believe there's a case for acceleration simply because the Fed continues to be extremely accommodative. So let's keep an eye on that. And also at the Fed meeting ended yesterday, that really, it's status quo, business as we go. Here is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. You've seen this chart before. This is actually from July. I think it's still relevant today. So see if my pen works here, but this area right here is this area here. This count goes 37.8, 38.3. So it continues to be, I think, a very good count. This is up to date. Notice the pullback all the way to the area of support here, and then a sharp rally. But keep in mind, as a matter of fact, I think it's even a little higher right now, that we are into the zone of the buying climax, which is right along here. That buying climax area could represent some kind of resistance for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. We'll keep a close eye on that. But if we can see this cascade up through here, it could very well go to new highs. So we will keep an eye out for this. And then here's the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the chart that we have been showing you with the danger zone. And this danger zone here did in fact come into play because it could not pull away from the resistance area where the buying climax was, and then failed back in. Now this is into August, third week of August, but I wanted to show you this distribution chart here. But if we bring this up to date, you can see that there was a failed test here that brought the index back down into the area of support, rallied it up. This is the chart that we just looked at. So this is an important area. You can see right here, it was up 552 points today when I made this chart, and it's into the area of the buying climax. So we're going to watch this closely to see if it basically runs out of steam right here after a pretty dramatic day. but I believe it very much could just keep going. I don't think the Dow Industrials is going to be where the action is, and I'll show you why here in a few minutes. And here you can see this is the bullish percent for the Dow Industrials. I've shown you this chart in the past many times actually, and you can see here that really since the May climax, this area here, that the bullish percent has been falling off in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and it never had any lift as it was going along and breaking out here above the resistance area. And then, so divergent characteristics, and then it just started to go downward. And so this downward push also coincided with a return back towards the bottom of the trend channel. And so the Dow, these bullish percent indexes are important because they show directionality. That's important. We want to focus on the direction of these bullish percent indexes as much as the divergent characteristics. Look at this divergence here, for instance. So these are great to keep an eye on, but it's starting to try to find a low and turn up, and that could give the Dow Jones legs for a rally of some kind. We don't know how good it's going to be. Here's the Nasdaq 100 and a series of lower peaks as this mega cap dominated index was pushing higher and higher. And so we say that that's an upside non-confirmation of this rising trend. And in fact, there was a break that took it from the mid 70 level, which, you know, mid 70% of stocks in the index are on a bullish percent buy, meaning they're in a breakout mode above prior important near-term peaks on using point and figure as a scanning tool. So here you can see that this was little by little losing some of its steam as it went up, just as it created divergences here and here. Now this is a bigger divergence. Well, now it's gone down. It's in the area of 50%. It's kind of turned up a little bit. Now this is through today. And so there's a rally, a good rally of sorts going on in the NDX. But again, I don't think this is where the action's going to be. And there's good support in the area of 50%. This is where a good low should be found, as it was here. We will watch for a turn up in this index, possibly a base. Notice how little bases form, non-confirmations of the low. We will watch for those as we go along. And let's keep looking at this over time. New York Composite, this is all the stocks on the New York Exchange. And again, we've been watching this very closely, and you can see that I need to get my pen back here. Let's do this with a highlighter. So you can see along here that it's been going down, divergences throughout, and then it just basically broke down right there. And the breakdown did not coincide with prices falling dramatically, but they did fall towards support at the end here, and it's down into the area of this prior low in July. So we will watch higher low. This could be a base, as this was a base here. And let's see whether or not this can get ahead of steam and start to turn up. So far, there's not much lift in that index yet. So we don't think that the New York is necessarily where the action's going to be. And you can see here with the S&P 500 that there's a similar situation throughout this entire area of this uptrend. This was deteriorating. This went down here, went to a new low. And so below that low right there. And it coincided with an important decline in the S&P 500 index. Well, we're not getting much of a bounce yet. And so we like to see divergent characteristics at the lows, at bases. And so let's see whether or not we can get that along here. Even this could constitute a base in this area. So we'll keep an eye on that. But so far, not much to see here. Let's turn our attention to Bitcoin. And as you can see, this was a chart that went up in May. I showed you, I'm showing you in many of these charts, the reference of the date that it was broadcast on Powercharting. And here, this is as we said at the time, this is a classic distributional structure. And so a big trend channel formed off of this low, and that high. And this broke down through this area and in fact cascaded all the way down to the bottom of that channel. And this has all happened earlier in the year. And so we can see that we took a point and figure count. This count from here to the high counted down to 31 to 26. And this, in fact, is where we went to. Here is a Wyckoff interpretation of the distributional top that we just looked at on the prior chart. So also look at this great count here of this reaccumulation. Took it right up smack dab into the 64,000 target zone where there was an upthrusting action and then a reversal. So pretty slick. Well, and then here is a Wyckoffian distributional schematic that you can compare to, and again, we talked about this on May 14th. But what I want to do is I really want to bring up to date what has happened in Bitcoin. And you can see here, let's go here first. So here is the Bitcoin vertical chart, daily chart. It shows this whole area that we just looked at. And then the decline, which went down into the area of 30,000 right there. 29, I think, was the low touch in that zone. And then an accumulation was formed in this area. I put in relative strength to the S&P because I think relative strength is exceptionally important for all assets for competitive purposes. But here I want to show you that there is, after this jump up and out, that there is a classic distributional type structure on a small scale, smaller than this over here, that formed, and then a breakdown has occurred. So this is, I think, a very important place in the Bitcoin index or the Bitcoin trust. And so if you look here, last point of supply, up thrusting action here, preliminary supply here and here, possibly this is a climax, and then a completed structure. This is a sign of weakness, and then an outright breakdown to this area here. So now turning back to the point and figure, we've just taken this count. I think this is 13. See, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yeah, I think this is 13. And so across here, this counts down to an area of 29 to 33, which is exactly where it went to before, which would not be a surprise to see it go down and revisit the lows that were made earlier in the year. Now, what I did was I put in this light green box an area of potential support, because this is where the breakout occurred. Here, a backup and then a rally, and now it's backing up, and this could be part of a bigger basing structure. And so we will want to see Bitcoin hold in this area, find support, and then be able to rally up and through. And here where Bitcoin is right now in the area of almost 45,000, that's important. Old support, new resistance. And so this area needs to be held, and it needs to rally back up into this structure here. And if it does that, then I think that we have had a successful test and can start a more important rally upward from here. So we'll watch that. Now, I'm just reporting, I do not trade Bitcoin. I watch it because I know so many of you have an interest in it. And so I just try to show you what I see. Again, I don't have a dog in this hunt. I just am interested in following what you're interested in. So here's a view on Bitcoin. Now, We've looked at this chart in the past. This is just a percent scaling chart of the area that goes back from 2020 to 2018, two important lows. And this, interestingly, is up into that zone. And it's interesting that in the month of September, we have found some supply here and an attempt to reverse the upward move, which has been accelerating. We'll watch this very closely because, as you saw from the S&P bullish percent, it's sort of lost some steam here recently. It may have to do some work in here, potentially. We'll watch and see what happens. Now, this is from the September 10th power charting episode. And you can see that this was an attempt to draw a point figure distribution count of the S&P 500 at the time that we were seeing. This is 10-minute data, one box reversal, and then 3.64 ATR scaling along here. And this gave us a count 4429 to 4408. So we were at the time saying, hey, this looks like distribution. It acts like distribution. It might be that on a small time frame, again, this is sort of a sub-intermediate time frame, intraday data, is that we may get some kind of a correction. The other thing that we said was we could get a bigger count. And so what in fact did happen? Here, let's take a look and go up to this area. You can see I have done a Wyckoff type analysis of the area that we just looked at. This is 15-minute data here. And so you can see 15 minutes. And let me get my highlighter back. And so this is a beautiful structure. We did, in fact, here build bigger count. And so this count here carries over potentially to the buying climax, and we can take a bigger count, and then we have redistribution. And so all the elements of a downward cascading market, distribution, downtrend, redistribution, are all in here. So this is a fabulous case study. So now let's move forward. And here we took a look at this area here on a point and figure. This is a one box scaling. I actually did a screen capture of the chart that we looked at in the power charting episode. And so I screen captured the power charting episode, and so that you could see what we looked at, and I drew on it and all that. And so this count became bigger and counted down to 4355 to 4328. Now this is 1 point scaling, and it's 15-minute data. So 3 box reversal. So now let's take and kind of expand our point and figure look here. And so here, slightly different count because we're using a slightly different set of conditions here, but here's the structure from here over. And so from this last point of supply to the buying climax, this counts down to 4338, 4311. And then we have the redistribution, which I showed you on a prior chart. And this count here takes us down to 4320 to 4293. Well, how cool is this? This is a stepping stone redistribution confirming point and figure count. We've talked about these repeatedly. Here's a perfect example of how this works and how beautiful it is. And also notice that this continued to build redistribution, until it built enough count to match the larger distribution count that was higher. And so that becomes a timing tool. At the time that this count here in this structure nests with this count here, this is often the place where the market starts to work its way lower again. So this was a classic timing indication that you can use point and figure for, that was actually taught by Dr. Pruden, my great friend, my mentor and teaching partner for many years. So anyway, this is such a cool chart, and it really reveals a lot. Also notice how quickly after it fulfilled this count here that it got into gear on the upside and had just a wicked advance off of that count area low. And so that is another thing that you can see often in point and figure, is when you fulfill all the cascading counts, either down or up, in this case down, and they are fulfilled, the snapback rallies that can often be a V bottom like we're seeing here. And this count could become even bigger over time. So this is very hopeful for higher prices. Now, we're talking here a little bit about mega cap growth, and I'm going to go very quickly. I don't have a lot of time left and a lot of charts to show you still, but this is a chart that I showed you, and this was from August 6th. This is a one box reversal daily data of the triple Qs, and this goes back to February. See the 2 there? That's the month of February, the first entry on the chart for February. There's March. And so this count here counts up to, now this is from a count line of 316. Tell me these tools aren't absolutely beautiful. And so here, this count across this 316 level, 22 columns, counts up to 392,404. Well, we have gotten up into the range, and I'm doing this from memory, I apologize. You can look it up. I think it's around 382, which is on this. Let's just zoom in. And so here in the area of just above 380 is where the triple Qs rallied to. Here's the structure we just looked at right here. And this is a beautiful rally. Chaikin money flows positive throughout. Notice how it's waning now and working its way down towards zero and negative readings. But the Chaikin got positive right as the accumulation, reaccumulation structure was completing, which is what we often see and look for with Chaikin when you have a good accumulation, is the Chaikin goes positive right as the accumulation is complete. In this case, actually reaccumulation. But here we can see that this is all waning, which could very well indicate that the triple Qs, Nasdaq 100, is effectively running out of steam for the moment, and the action's going to be in other places. All right, so emerging rotational leadership. So if the old stuff like the S&P and the Dow, and especially the Nasdaq 100 and the mega cap names are sort of losing some of their steam, and I don't think that mega cap has got to go down much, but it could be a source of funds for these smaller cap names. Facebook, which has been a little weak lately, has a market cap of almost $1 trillion. And so if it just goes sideways and portfolio managers just take a little bit of their position and move it over into smaller dynamic growth type names, it's going to have a huge effect on those smaller names. And these smaller names are not small. They are regular size companies that are significant. Now, here's the energy sector. So this is just really fascinating to me. And this area here, look at this. This is the bullish percent here, and look at it just go. Since third week of August, it's just on a vertical climb. It's above 71% right now from a low below 15%. So there is good things happening in the energy sector for stock prices. This looks like it's an accumulation type structure. And so look at the all of a sudden change of character in the way that the XLE, now this is the energy sector, so it encompasses all of the energy space, more or less. And so you can see here's the resistance area. It's jumping up and out, big vertical bars. It's acting quite well. This looks like it's really the emergence or the beginning of some more important upward advance in the energy sector. So there is a potential rotational beneficiary. Now, this is from the Wyckoff market report. Come check it out, wyckoffanalytics.com. It is a stock selection letter that Roman and I do every week together and try to find the very best emerging ideas for trading purposes. And so here you can see global X uranium was a theme we profiled a while back. And here you can see really 1, 2, 3 counts in this area jumped out at around $28 is where this was constructed. But it's had a bit of a pullback here, I believe. Have a look for yourself. URA is the symbol. And you can see here a count that goes 33 to 36, swing trading count, larger count of this area 48, 44, 50, and then a count of the whole accumulation area, which counts 77, 50, 88. So very interesting ETF. Have a look, check it out. Here is the Innovators 50. I showed you this back on August 6th in the power charting episode. And I said at the time that this looked like a last point of support, phase C. Now I'm using this as a proxy for momentum growth names. These are companies that have great internal growth rates in their sales and their earnings, and they have emerging relative strength that's quite good. And this, I think, is a great ETF reflecting that phenomenon. And so you can see here that at that time in July, this was going into a vertical climb off of important support. So that looks quite good. And this was after a reaccumulation that started back in February. And so let's move on and look at what's gone on since. Now, this is through September 22nd. So that would be yesterday. Notice that it did in fact keep going, rallied up to the area of resistance, and has been in a backup. So now it's backing up, pausing here, and now it's trying to emerge out of this structure, which is a classic reaccumulation structure. Looks really, really good. And again, focus on the theme here. And now the Russell. So let's see if we can get through the Russell before the end of the show. So the Russell is another small to mid cap theme. This is a beautiful reaccumulation. I've showed this to you in the past, and there is a pullback. This is September 16th. And so you can see that it pulled back, and now it's attempting to go up to the resistance area off of that pullback and start to run up. So this is a really, I think, a very intriguing structure. Here are point and figure counts that you can look at. And with that, I am going to say so long and thank you for being here. And we will do more of this next time.